Good morning. Reading from Isaiah 40, verses 3 to 5. A voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be raised up, every mountain and hill made low. The rough ground shall become level, the rugged places a plain, and the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all the people will see it together. Naomi Quinn, Professor Emeritus of Cultural Anthropology at Duke University, conducted her research on Americans' cultural view of marriage and unions. And the common theme she learned is that these life partnerships are viewed as a journey, together in this life, sharing the richness of life together and sharing in its wonders and challenges. Our lives are made up of many chapters on this life journey, and as we grow in our communities, life shapes us and opens our eyes to the possibilities of how we will continue to evolve intellectually and socially. In the mainstream culture of the United States, we are marked by our determination of our histories, a cultural history of self-reliance and rugged individualism. This determination can take many forms and have its symbols. Is the rugged beauty of the Rockies, which overlook our pristine campus, casting shadows down upon us, remind us of their natural glory and presence. Mountain climbers are our symbols, climbing daunting peaks, sometimes in the face of nature's wrath, colliding with our own human determination. We continue to push harder and harder to make it to these summits and other personal and professional summits in our lives, sometimes against all the signs that suggest that we should try again when we're empowered by a team effort. Our success should look beyond our culture of self-reliance, since achievement and success of finding ourselves on many summits are richer experiences when we look around among us. The diversity of our community and the wealth of talents can make our journeys to many summits in this life much more fulfilling, and to take the initiative to make those connections. T.S. Eliot once wrote, "Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go." We pray and encourage you as we enter this new academic year to continue to take the initiative in seeking communities which will help all of us reach these heights together, learning new languages, taking the time to listen to the life stories of others, and studying intercultural experiences are some ways to broaden the horizons of each other's lives and to reach true human summits by empowering others who are also on this life journey with us, and especially those who have lived lives constricted by marginalization. The teachings of the Buddha emphasize that a generous heart, kind speech, and a life of service and compassion are the things which renew humanity. Looking across Pikes Peak this morning, I thought of the book of Psalms, Psalms 121:1, a song of ascents. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? This is shared by all of us.
Please be seated. Good morning. Welcome, new and returning students, faculty, staff, trustees, and friends. Opening Convocation marks the official commencing of our 144th academic year. Colorado College was founded to provide a place in the Rocky Mountain West for knowledge-seeking individuals to be intellectually curious and daring. It's with our founders' ambition that we remain passionately dedicated to sustaining a learning environment rich with opportunities for exploration, growth, and contributions. For our new students, you're joining a community that encourages you to think deeply and differently, to go beyond your initial thoughts and assertions, and to blaze a trail that questions conventional ideas. The distinguished alumni that we recognize today, Roberto Gonzalez, Melissa Hyde, and Alan Wu, have done just that, excelling in their professions and making a difference in the lives of others. They exemplify the application of their liberal arts educations, and I hope you will read more about them and imagine ways you can follow in their footsteps. Our convocation today is an especially important occasion as we reopen the intellectual heart of our campus, Tutt Library. Internationally recognized author Colum McCann joins us today to give the keynote address on the vital importance of books and of libraries as places to encounter difference and build empathy. Also, to mark this occasion, today's convocation will close with members of our library staff leading a ceremonial return of the books to Tutt. There are notes on the history of this ceremony here at CC in your program. I invite you all to gather at Tutt Library this afternoon at 1 o'clock to celebrate the reopening. We'll unveil the statue of Charles Leeming Tutt, our library's namesake and unofficial college mascot, known affectionately as Chaz. I hope you will all join us. And with that, it's now my pleasure to introduce the 2017-18 Student Body President, Dorsa Jalizada. Well done. From Broomfield, Colorado, Dorsa is a political science and feminist and gender studies double major. Dorsa credits her coursework and activism as a FemCo leader in helping her contribute to a more thoughtful and inclusive Colorado College. Working for both the Denver Rescue Mission and for Colorado Congresswoman and CC alumna Diana DeGette, Dora was inspired that leaders can have impact, and so as she begins this year as CCSJA president, Dorsa describes herself as, quote, dedicated to being a voice for those often not heard, to rallying our community with thoughtfulness and compassion, and opening dialogue across the entirety of the student body, faculty, staff, and administration to make CC as inclusive as possible. Please join me in welcoming Student Body President Dorsa Jalizada.
Good morning, and welcome all to Colorado College. To those of you returning, it is wonderful to see your familiar faces. To those of you who might be entering Shove for the first time, I know that myself and my peers, the staff, faculty, and administration are beyond excited to meet you, support you, and watch you grow and integrate into the diverse community that is Colorado College. This is the first day where you will be challenged, inspired, questioned, and empowered like never before. Take it all in. I know that we enter this year having encountered a political and social climate that might have left many of us scarred, apprehensive, and perhaps a bit more cynical. The society we are living in today has not treated us all fairly. Some of us might have enjoyed the luxury of being unaffected by worldly political events, while others of us have been terrorized by not knowing the next time we will see our families. Whether or not you experience these situations or anything in between, it is important to remember the immense privilege we all have to attend an institution intent on uniting instead of dividing. In a time where our basic safeties and rights are threatened, where systematic oppression, inequality, and injustice is rampant, we must confront these challenges head on while maintaining our kindness and humanity. I know that at times Colorado College can be a safe bubble into which we can retreat, making the challenges of the real world obsolete. But we must understand that before this time, today, and in the future, there will be those of us who cannot escape. Our institution should be a safe space, but also a place to exercise our fighting power on a micro scale. We are not perfect. Racism doesn't disappear when you step foot on Warner's quad. Sexism is not alleviated when you take a study break in Benji's. All of the issues that plague our society at large are still relevant on our campus, and it is our duty to engage with and combat them here first. It is crucial that our bubble remain permeable, otherwise we run the risk of becoming oblivious and being complicit in committing the same injustices that occupy the rest of society. But this is why we are at Colorado College. There is a reason you applied to this school and were accepted. It is because you are thoughtful and passionate. It is because you are dedicated to exploring ways in which we can better ourselves and helping consolidate our differences into a mosaic of unity. It is because your curiosity led to a state of self-awareness about the systems of privilege and oppression and inspired you to act. We at Colorado College are incredibly fortunate to participate in an institution where the faculty, staff, and administration are devoted to ensuring a space of learning and success, and where the people who love and support us do the best they can to provide what they can. We must take the examples of our peers and mentors because we have a responsibility to uphold the legacy of Colorado College and to contribute to global efforts to combat adverse and harmful rhetoric. It is our responsibility to educate ourselves, speak up when it is appropriate, support others when it is their turn to speak, and push back on the inevitable negativity. I cannot think of a better place or a better group of people to take on this task. I know what I am asking you may seem like a daunting task. I know that these 4 years are stressful, exciting, frustrating, and everything in between. To the freshmen, take this time to bask in this new experience, but also take risks and put yourselves in uncomfortable situations. With each new class, we get to see our campus through fresh eyes, and it is so rewarding to see your perspectives on issues we thought we had exhausted. To the seniors, take this time to appreciate the friends and mentors you have made, to start to feel a little homesick. I have watched you all contribute so much to this community over the last 3 years, and I hope you carry the critical conversations and bright ideas you developed here long after you stop calling this place home. To everyone, I say, take this time to reflect, to be proud of all you have accomplished. Take care of yourselves and each other, and please, never forget where you came from. Once you have come to Colorado College, you have joined a community, a family, where we see and believe in your potential to strive and help you achieve it. I hope that you take with you these values and insight and touch others the way you have touched us. So to all of you, I say welcome home. Take a breath, you belong here. It is this institution and the presence of every single one of you that gives me hope that these trying times will pass and that we will all triumph together with empowerment and love. I feel so honored to get to work, grow, and witness our accomplishments. But most of all, I cannot wait to hear your voices resonate throughout the world once we leave, knowing that it all started here, together, at Colorado College.
As a student at Colorado College, Roberto G. Gonzalez was intellectually, socially, and politically engaged. He took his first courses in folklore and then branched out to take a variety of courses, earning a degree in sociology at CC. He's now professor of education at Harvard University, where he continues to study and write about immigrant youth. He has dedicated his career to improving the lives of young people. He co-founded a youth media program, has received national recognition for his academic publications. His recent book, the groundbreaking Lives in Limbo, Coming of Age in America, won the Society for the Study of Social Problems, the C. Wright Mills Award in 2016. He has also received numerous awards for his teaching. For helping us understand critical issues involving immigration and education, Madam President, I present Roberto G. Gonzalez for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
By action of a committee of faculty and trustees, and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you, Roberto Gonzalez, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, and admit you to all rights and responsibilities pertaining to this degree. As a token of this honor, I ask that you be vested with the hood appropriate to the degree, and I present you with this diploma.
Melissa Hyde does us proud. Professor of Art History at the University of Florida's College of the Arts, she enjoys the reputation of a whatever you do, don't miss her teacher, and a breakthrough scholar. Professor Hyde confesses to having an ongoing love affair with the 18th century. A specialist in European and especially French art, she rescues the Rococo, that flamboyant and much maligned style, from its critics by recovering its historical roots. Breaking the conventional boundaries of analysis, she gives us a Rococo for the 21st century. That Melissa Hyde manages to resuscitate 18th century French art explains something of her magic in the classroom. Urging students to consider art through the lens of visual culture, gender, and identity brings it to life. So does the fact that she's a superb lecturer and an unusually helpful mentor. She is, students summarize, a phenomenal professor. At CC, Professor Hyde majored in history and studied art history. She had the heart of a revisionist, Professor Gail Murray recalls. While most students gravitated toward avant-garde art, Melissa went to less written about developments. Independent of mind, bold in argument as a student, these qualities continue to distinguish this accomplished and much honored teacher and scholar. Madam President, it is my honor to present Melissa L. Hyde for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
By action of a committee of faculty and the trustees, and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you, Melissa Hyde, the Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, and admit you to all rights and responsibilities pertaining to this degree. As a token of this honor, I ask that you be vested with the hood appropriate to the degree, and I present you with this diploma.
Alan Hingying Wu was a versatile undergraduate and part of a diverse and very interesting group of students who arrived here in the late 60s, some of whom are here in support of him today. They were mostly from non-immigrant families, even privilege. Passionate people, passionate about the music and the culture and politics of that era. Their reunions in recent years have taken on a quality of legend. They fly the banner of Wostock. There's no D in the middle of that, in honor of this gentleman. And had you been fortunate enough to be along Nevada Avenue during the summers when they reuned at Jackson House, you might have seen that house kind of rocking off of its foundations and heard the sound of wonderful music in the air. Professionally, he moved from a job with the Bank of America via graduate study of public administration into a long and outstanding career fighting poverty, both from inside the official anti-poverty agencies dispensing federal funds and from outside. Most recently, his cause is Santa Ana Unidos, Santa Ana Together, a startup organization led by a 25-year-old, which Alan Wu assures me reminds him of himself at 25. He has made a specialty out of troubleshooting, out of offering advice and turning around to organizations that need some advice and turning around. His intense and intensely local activity in Orange County and in Southern California are worth our national attention. For his liberal arts versatility and his outstanding work magnifying opportunity and freedom, Madam President, I am honored to present Alan Wu for the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
By action of a committee of faculty and trustees, and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you, Alan Wu, the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, and admit you to all rights and responsibilities pertaining to this degree. As a token of this honor, I ask that you be vested with the hood appropriate to the degree, and I present you with this diploma. Thank you. I'm now pleased to invite Professor Steve Hayward to introduce our convocation speaker.
It's an honor to say a few words of introduction for Colum McCann. Born in Dublin, Ireland, McCann studied journalism and at the age of 21 took off to the United States equipped with a typewriter and a long spool of paper, a la Jack Kerouac, to write the great Irish-American novel. When not much more than a page arrived, he embarked on a bike trip across the US. It was a year and a half spent riding and talking and listening to others, a kind of apprenticeship that eventually led back to the typewriter. What followed were 6 novels and 3 collections of short fiction, which include transatlantic luminous journeys of hope, in which the great world is set spinning and lands this side of brightness. What followed were prizes too numerous to list, including the National Book Award, the Impact Dublin Prize, and an Oscar nomination. What followed was an enduring legacy of humanitarian work for PEN International, for Amnesty International, and most particularly the global charity Narrative 4. McCann teaches in the writing program at Hunter College, and his most recent book is the brilliant collection of short fiction, 13 Ways of Looking. No matter what your age, if you've not read his Notes to a Young Writer, there is still time. Please join me in welcoming Colum McCann.
Hello. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming out. It's a great honor to be here. Congratulations to Roberto and Melissa and Alan. Great thanks to Stephen for the invitation and to President Tiefenthaler. Thank you so much. Congratulations to all the incoming students, and congratulations to those of you who are embarking on your last year. It'll be great fun to hang out with Dorsa. I have to say, she did a magnificent job, didn't she? I'm going to talk to you today for a little while about the radical adventure of being and getting lost. So I'm going to tell you, by the end of the day, to get lost. But in the nicest possible way. At least I hope so. This is a great occasion, the opening of the fabulous Tut Library, and I think this will be a remarkable day for you guys. I learned to get lost at a fairly early age. I grew up in suburban Dublin, and around about the age of 10 or 11 years old, I used to take off on my bicycle around the hills in Wicklow, along little quiet back roads that became part of my bloodstream and still are to this very day. I can sometimes still feel myself pedaling along past those high hedges and hawthorns, the sharp curves, and the potholes that were so deep that the locals used to call them philosophical. But I digress. I loved cycling through Glendalough or out by Howth, and in my later teenage years I'd take off for long periods, sometimes on the Belfast Road, and later still, in my 20s, I walked across Ireland a few times. Once from Dublin to Galway with nothing but the clothes on my back and a black plastic bag to protect me from the weather. Locals used to come up to me and say, "What's wrong with you? You're 3 sandwiches short of a picnic." I was a bit odd, I must admit. I liked the oddness. I slept out at night whenever I could, and I felt like I was meeting the roads, becoming the roads, as the French might say, "Je suis ma route." I follow my road, I am my road. But I liked not knowing where I was going. Part of the joy of being lost for me was the realization, whether conscious or not, that I did have a home to go to, that there was somewhere I could return to in order to become lost again. So throughout all those journeys, I actually had the novelist's worst childhood. I had a happy childhood. Years later, I used to joke with the late, great Frank McCourt, who had a very miserable Irish childhood, famous miserably Irish childhood, that I was so annoyed at him that he got all the misery in Ireland. So I had to go out and create some misery for myself. Or at least I had to push myself away, lose some sort of innocence, step into a new body, inhabit an elsewhere. So I developed for myself the notion that there was a privilege in being lost, the fear of having to get back home, that getting lost is in fact a form of memory making. And we go on adventures in order to be able to remember. So at the age of 21, as Stephen said, I embarked on a whole new process of learning how to get lost. I took a bicycle trip across the United States, and it came through Colorado, over Raton Pass. That's a hell of a pass, by the way. And ended up in Trinidad, working in a bike shop in Trinidad, learning how to build wheels. And then I went over Independence Pass and up through Colorado to Utah and into Wyoming. And anyway, I saw an incredible America, and I'd left my country behind. And being an emigrant was a way to get lost. There was, when I look back on it, a strange desire for sadness, for separateness, for loss. I'm Irish, we come from a country where we're not happy unless we're sad. But then one day I actually truly got lost. I can't remember exactly where I was, but it swung down from the Tetons in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I decided that I was going to, well actually I have to tell you the truth. I had spent the evening in the jailhouse in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, after a boisterous evening in the $1 Million Cowboy Bar, where I was overserved. Anyway, I digress. I decided to go out into the wilderness. I took my bike in under a cliff. I took my water purification tablets. I took some food. I took my maps. I took a few books. And I was just going to go walking for a couple of days. And I was a bit arrogant about the whole thing. I thought, I can survive out here. It's not a problem for me. I'd been on the road for quite a while. And so the first night I slept out, had my sleeping bag, and it was fine. And the second night I was fine, and the third day I was going to go back and find my bicycle. I was running a little bit low on water, but I had my tablets, I had everything. And I couldn't find my bicycle. I didn't really know where I was. And so I thought, I'll be fine. On the fourth day, I got very sick. I drank some bad water. I hadn't used my tablets properly. And I'm not entirely sure how long I was out there. But I was rescued at the side of the road by an elderly couple in Winnebago who found me in a state of absolute disrepair, very, very ill, having thrown away my maps, very clever, having thrown away my water purification tablets, very clever, having only kept in my backpack my Dylan Thomas book of poems. They took me to a doctor's office and they paid for all my bills and they never even left me their name. I was, I suppose, lost again, but in a certain way I had been found. And I had learned very elementally that the world was not only dangerous, but good. They never left me the names, but they left me a story. And they also left me the ability to tell these stories. This may be a rather privileged position, and you'd probably be right in me saying that there's a great human sense in learning how to be lost. There's a luxury here that a lot of people in this world cannot afford. And the ability to be lost sometimes has, or it might even reek of economic privilege. But there is a place in which you can get lost that is the most democratic of all, and that is in the adventure of libraries and books. So this building that you are going to see today, and probably for some of you for the next 4 years, or maybe even longer, is possibly the most radical adventure in being lost that we can experience in our lives. Books are democratic. Storytelling is the original democracy. As readers, we are not only emigrants, but we are people who get lost. We step into books to become immigrants from the normality of our lives, the deadening desperation of the self-centered universe. We leave the country of ourselves and we journey elsewhere. We take off and are cast into the distance, and we're not quite sure where we're going to sleep at night. Reading, be it fiction or poetry or philosophy or music or photographs, yes, we can read photographs. Reading is the most thrilling form of travel that we have available to ourselves. Literature allows us to go elsewhere. This is where we live in extremis. You can be just about anyone and anywhere that you want to be. So when I step into a book, I step out of my skin and away. Stories stop the flow of time. Writing saves the present moment. Books continue long after the space and time of their existence. And so literature succeeds then in remapping the body that we live inside, remapping the journeys that we make. This is an amazing thing. We can create our own internal topographies. But unless you're willing to tramp the hills, unless you're willing to perhaps get lost, unless you're willing to put yourself on the line, unless you're willing to fail, then it all becomes old and stale and creaky. We have to get out there. We must tell ourselves that we allow ourselves to get lost. When you allow yourself to get lost, you become a master then of your own imagination. And perhaps our imagination is one of the few places that is entirely free these days. If you think of what corporations know about you, if you think about what governments happen to know about you, they know what you want to buy, they know what you want to sell, they know what they want to borrow. They tap into your GPS, they tap into your computers. They know even what you want to steal, who you want to sleep with. They know how you want to sleep, even where you want to sleep. But can all of this really tell them that what you truly want to imagine? Nobody has yet figured out how to access your imagination. That is where your freedom begins. Freedom begins between the ears. Now, there's not a single convocation speech in this country that's not going to talk or get political this year. And if you think I'm going to try to tell the powers that be in this country to get lost, then you're exactly right. But for a little while, let's consider getting lost in another way. Let's consider loss as some form of adventure. Let's consider loss as an asset. Let's consider that we're not as stupid as our political parties and our leaders or our supposed leaders seem to want us to be. Let's consider engaging with the terror of trying to understand one another. Let's consider the radical notion that your supposed enemy has something to say. Let's consider the idea that the more we choose to see, the more we will actually see. The tendency to believe that we are entirely authors of our own lives, that we live without the ideas of others, gives rise to the sort of politics that is currently crippling us. We are forced in literature, in storytelling, in libraries, in our classroom, to make the empathetic leap into what it means to be other. It strikes me now that one of the true beauties of literature is that it has the illusion of wounding, while really what it is doing is allowing us to grow. The same should be said for politics. The same should be said for our imaginative leap into trying to understand where the other person is coming from. Let's consider for a moment the idea that we read in order to make the world a more vibrant and just place. Let's turn, especially in places like Colorado College, let's turn just reality into justice. Too much of this country right now is trying to turn justice into revenge. Turn instead reality into justice. Libraries, believe it or not, then become the place where we exercise our proper democracy. Here you will find the voices, or a series of voices, who contribute to what we are, who shape us. And these stories then apply to the ongoing chaos and beauty of our lives. So, I happen to be a Colorado College parent now, and I just want to spend a moment to hopefully dilate the nostrils of all you young people and give you a little bit of an anthem. Don't let the passion of your calling get robbed from you. The crisis of our age is that we are living in stunned submission to the circumstances of our times, the rule of those politicians and the hedge funds and the corporations and others. We are being bought off by our comforts, young people. We are being bought off with our affair with ease. There are twisted social outrages unfolding right now at our feet. Politicians who want to build walls, universities that invest in fossil fuels, corporations celebrating themselves. Don't fall for it. Off the couch, out the door, into a book, and then bring that book into the world. Make it real. Turn empathy into action. Turn decency into action. Take what you're learning here, take what you're being allowed here, and put it into reality. All of this is useless to you guys if it's just a pep talk, right? Your future is not a consolation prize. So much of life nowadays seems to suffer from a reduced moral authority, and people want to seem to believe that equanimity and justice and decency are no longer part of our national idea. Baloney. Don't give in to the tendency to be neutralized. Don't let them make you entirely red. Don't let them make you entirely blue. And don't let them tell you that you can't get lost. We live in a culture where increasingly we are being mapped. We have GPSed ourselves to death. We have forgotten how to get properly lost. This is not some sort of bleeding heart simplicity. Trust me, it takes a lot of courage to say this and risk ridicule than not to say it. This is your challenge. You have to find the freedom to articulate yourself against power. Where power wants to simplify, you should complicate. Where power wants to moralize, you should criticize. Where power wants to intimidate, you should embrace. Don't burn the flag, wave it. Read the books of people that you don't want to like and don't want to be like. The known grief and the known anger is so much better than the unknown grief or the unknown anger. So shout out against shallow ignorance. Don't be embarrassed by it. Don't be cowed into silence. Become more dangerous. Have people fear your bite. Restore that which has been devalued by others. Raise your voice on behalf of those who have been drowned out. Value the cynic. Yes, praise the cynic. He or she can be useful. He is one that you can still teach. Don't back away from engagement. You must speak of life no matter how bitter or lacerating. Imagine, please, the immensities of experience. Oppose the cruelties. Break the silence. Be prepared to risk yourself. Ready yourself for the ridicule when you do. The more you choose to see, as I said, the more you will see. And in the end, please understand this, the only things that are worth doing are the things that might possibly break your heart. So in all of this, I propose literature and our library and our books and our teaching as a sort of home, a place to go get lost. Thank you.
For the benediction, O Creator that we know by many names, as we enter a new year of learning and growth at Colorado College, we ask that you bless us on our endeavors. It is a time of renewal and wonder, and we are grateful for the opportunities which await us. The core of knowledge is one of seeking and exploration in the quest to find deeper meaning in the subjects and values which encircle our humanity. Give us the strength to work toward your glory and for your will for our community, and to help us to continue to define our common goals, to support one another, and to find the best qualities among all of us. We also ask that in the development of our future leaders among us on campus, that you continue to fill their vision with a sustained direction, balanced with love and humility. Help us to apply our wisdom and passion during times of glory, and strength during times of challenge on campus, in our nation, and in the world, expanding our definition of the healing arts for a world which continues to search for a guiding light and peace. We ask this in your name. Amen.